welcome to our latest episode of All About Fasting, where experts of the Buchinger Wilhelmi clinics are answering your questions. I do have a new guest today in our Q&A. It's Hubert Hohler, the former head chef of the kitchen in 𝐼𝐴𝐻𝐻. And in his new role as Senior Expert Gastronomy, he's now representing the culinary and fasting expertise of the clinics, and he's developing new products. Hello and welcome, Hubert.
Hello, Lisa.
Nice to have you. Thanks for taking the time. Today we are talking about a very interesting topic. So many people were asking questions, and so I found it worth to share an episode about it. It's about the fasting broth or the fasting soups. So many questions about it, like how do I prepare it, what vegetables can I use, how do I process it, how much should I eat then of the soup per day, and like, for example, is there any add-ons I should integrate in the soup. But first things first, maybe you can start and talking a bit about how do you prepare the perfect fasting soup, of which vegetables, how do you process them, and maybe just offer some varieties of the ingredients.
Okay, making a fasting soup is very easy. You need the vegetables, as our fasting soup are based on that. Mostly we take just one kind of vegetable, as we want to have this taste of that, and then just having in addition 2-3 spices and not more. And the way to do it is with each vegetable more or less the same. As you start, if you have a good digestion, you can take some onions, you chop them or bite part of the leek and saute them without any fat, medium heat, and then you add the other ingredients. So you saute the onion, you chop your carrots, no need to peel them if the skin is okay, and then you saute them as well. If you want to have a little bit more creamy texture, you can add a tiny bit of potato, also with the skin, no problem, and then you saute them until they smell good. And then you can, if you like, a little bit of lemongrass, a little bit of ginger with it, you add this, and then you add water. If you think about the amounts, is more or less 300-400 grams of vegetables, including the potato, and 1 liter of water. This is normally a perfect taste. And then you let that boil until everything is soft and tender. So not al dente, because you want the taste, you want the minerals of all, and so it's necessary to boil them real fine. If you cut it more small, it's faster. If you cut it more big, it takes a little bit more long. But in the end, it's the same result, and then you blend it. If you blend it, please, the lemongrass is very hard. Remove this a little bit before. Other ingredients are not that complicated. Perhaps bay leaf also. These little things, just remove them before and then you blend. When you strain it through a sieve later, you can blend all. If you are a little bit lazy and don't want to bring it through a strainer, just take the half of the vegetables and blend this, because if you take all the vegetables and don't strain it through a sieve, it will be too thick later. And if the fasting soup is too thick, your colon starts working, and when your colon works, you are hungry. And this is not a good feeling when you are fasting. Normally the feeling is the joy of lightness and not creating hunger. And then you season to taste. This is a moderate amount of salt. This is depends a little bit on the outside temperature, on your own overall health. It should be 2 to 5 grams per liter, depending, and you should not dehydrate. This is a little bit the thing. When it's too hot outside, take a little more. So more or less, it's the taste that you are used to when you are not eating too salty. And with asparagus, which it's a vegetable which dehydrates you more, you take a little bit more salt. But you need, when you season it to taste, you will realize that you need for the asparagus a little bit more. So it's just your taste, and this runs well. And then a little bit of lemon juice if you like, and that's it. So you blend everything. You have 300 grams to 400 grams of vegetables, 1 liter. This is in sum, you have 1.5 liter. You can store this broth 3 days in the fridge and reheat later when you need it, when you think, okay, it's too much, deep freeze, and then you can just take that. And you can do that with a lot kinds of vegetables. Me, I love pumpkin, carrots are very nice, beets are very nice, seasoned with some horseradish. It's perfect for me, but also cauliflower with a little bit of curry. So even spinach, there it's a little bit different. When you take these greens like Swiss chard or spinach, you just take potatoes and perhaps a little bit of garlic in it. You make the same thing, onion, potato, chop this, saute, and boil it then with the right amount of water. And when the potatoes are soft, you add for 2 or 3 minutes the spinach. And then you blend this. And then you have a perfect green spinach soup. So, very easy to do.
Okay, thank you very much, Hubert. That sounds delicious. Another question that we received quite often is if it's beneficial to have the soup or the broth made vegan or vegetarian, because some really like or prefer to have a bone broth as a basis. What is your opinion on this?
It's better to have a vegetarian or vegan broth, as you know, when you are fasting, you are detoxing and you eliminate a lot of cells, of not used cells, of old cells, and in each cell there is purine in. And the purine, when you make the blood test and you see that your purine and your uric acid, the level rises. And this makes inflammation in your body. So if you have problems already with some arthritis or something like that, could be, you have to be a little bit careful with that. And when you add on top a broth from bones or from meat, there are also a lot of purines inside, and so I don't recommend that. So, and we have so many vegetarian things, alternatives, so that you really can fast 20 days and you have every day another soup. So don't mind about that and stay vegan, vegetarian through that time. That's real perfect. All the vegetable stock powders and these things, they are mostly highly processed and very rich in salt. And I talked before, okay, a right amount of salt is okay because of dehydration, but that much of salt, if you take 2 or 3 cups of that broth each day, would be too much.
That would have been my next question. Is there any good finished products existing? Like, is there anything that you can buy in a supermarket, maybe in a biological supermarket, that you know and that you can recommend?
Not really. I don't know if I'm allowed to make some advertising here, as we are just, I'm in the development at the moment, and we are working on something which is not that rich in salt and very natural, as I didn't find anything which I would say, okay, it's perfect, it's to recommend that, and so I have to say no at the moment.
Okay, thanks. So once that new recipe is ready, I will link it in the video. If it's not yet linked, then just the product is not yet available. But once it's there, I promise I will link it. Next question. I hear everybody talking a lot about adding fats and oil in certain recipes. Is that also a good thing to do, like adding some oil in my fasting broth?
So I would not recommend it if one of your goal is also losing weight, as it's not necessary during that time. We have some vitamins and minerals which are soluble, but during the fasting time, which is probably 10-12 days, it's not the idea of give you all the minerals and vitamins. When you think about how some people eat 20 years long, they are all the time, they have less minerals, they have less vitamins. So just during that time, the focus is on detoxing and just getting rid of all the things, all the old cells and everything, and not just to have enough minerals or vitamins. So you can forget that for a normal fasting. What I did last time, I said, okay, I fasted just a few weeks ago, and it was that I don't wanted to lose more weight. As I said, okay, I just have my level now and I want to stop, and then I added some oil. With it, it's perfect just if you don't want to lose any more weight.
Perfect, thanks for that. So in terms of the preparation, I think you gave already a very good overview. Then additional questions could be, how big of an amount of the soup should I take per meal? Like, is there any recommendation in terms of the amounts of liter, let's say, or should I eat until I don't feel hungry? Or what is your take on this?
So usually we have the amount of 250 milliliters, so that's 1 cup. But if you prepare the fasting soup, like I told you, there is no problem if you eat 300, 350, but not too much, as you feel not better later. And it's just to have this feeling, to have a little bit of warm feeling in your stomach, that you are comfortable. And if you eat too much, I think it's the same as if you are eating regularly. It's after half an hour, you have the feeling, okay, it was too much, but not until you stop or the first moment. And so it's better just to keep in that range, 250, 350 milliliters, and that's fine.
Thank you very much. And last but not least, how do I store the soup? I know you're a big fan of making everything very fresh and as needed and then eat it immediately. But just thinking about people who are very busy, who are working a lot, is there any way of how I can store it, like putting it in the fridge? And then how can I rewarm it? What's your recommendation?
So we talk now about the soups, and the soups, there is really no problem to store them in the fridge for 2-3 days. And then it's just let it cool down in the room, in your kitchen. And then when it's medium warm, you can give it in the fridge and keep it there. If you think it's you need 4 times or 5 days later you want to eat that soup, give it in the deep freezer, but then make it in portions, not the whole one, as then it's too much to defreeze. And so make portions, give it in the deep freezer, and then just give it in a pot, medium heat and on the stove, and it's perfect. It's very easy to handle.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Hubert. That was it for today's session. I hope we could answer all the questions, and I hope you liked it. If you do, follow, give us a click, give us a like. If you have any questions, just comment below. Thank you very much again, Hubert, and see you soon.
Bye bye, Lisa.